recognition with triangulation by opening multiple restaurants and publishing a cookbook. In 1995, he won the prestigious Chef of the Year award from the Beard Society. From his Frontera grill, here are corn tamales.
Making of fresh corn tamales is always a very special thing in Mexico and all through the Southwest, because when that first harvest of the fresh corn comes out, when the kernels are still really moist and they haven't begun to dry, that's when everyone wants to make the fresh corn tamales. Now in Mexico, that would be done with field corn, but here in the United States we have the sweet corn to work with, which isn't nearly as starchy. But you would treat them both the same way when you were starting out the preparations here, and that would be to cut the base right basically where the cob starts and start peeling off some of these outer husks, because we could use these actually to wrap the tamales a little later on in this process of making fresh corn tamales. And once these have been taken off, you can see that if they're not coming off really easily, maybe we haven't made our cut quite at the right spot, so we can tear off the last bit here. And we're going to try to get all of the corn silk with it, as much of it as possible, and just leave that lying right there. Clean off as much silk. We don't want that to get into the finished tamales. And then cut, standing it up like this, cut the kernels right off the cob. And this is going to form the base of our mixture that we make these out of. It's not everything that goes in, and in fact, since we're making these with sweet corn, I follow a tradition that I discovered in southern Mexico a great number of years ago about making the sweet corn tamales, that if your corn doesn't have quite enough starch in it, and this sweet corn never will, that we would make this dish with half sweet corn. I've got the kernels cut from 2 cobs here. We would make it with half sweet corn that's been ground, and I'll show you that doesn't take very long in the food processor. Just get a coarse puree going out of that sweet corn, and then the other half of the mixture is going to be masa. Now this is masa that made from the field corn, but once it's been dried and then cooked with slaked lime and then ground through stone grinders, this is the same mixture, the same dough that's used for making corn tortillas, except in this case it's just a little bit coarser ground than what would be used for making the tortillas. It's a special kind of masa, they call it.